Hello, everyone. Welcome to the yet another session on Digital Success Exchange, wherein we talk everything and anything around data, around digital transformation. And we have none other than Mr. Sangram Tripathy to share some of his insights, which spans 25 plus years of his experience in his professional career. So, welcome, Mr. Tripathi, on this session. Um, let's go with the first question. As I mentioned, 25 plus years of experience, right? You would have seen everything going back 25 years, sat on both sides of the table, sharing reports, sharing information, sharing insights, to now consuming and taking decisions on
Yes,
the same. So, what has been your experience? What has changed in these 25 years? How are discussions and decisions being taken right now? If you can share some light and thoughts on the same.
wonderful. So thank you, Dipak, for this opportunity. Yes, it has been more than 25 years. If I recall, it's like close to 30 years and few years from now. So it has been a fantastic journey. But more importantly, Deepak, I'm in a profession where it impacts every single citizen in the world. So being part of healthcare is not just bringing new solutions or new innovations to customers or surgeons or patients.
Mhm.
Every year we measure how our innovations impacting patient lives, how it's impacting surgeon lives. So whether does not matter which company I have worked in the past or where I'm working right now, but most of the healthcare companies, or rather I say all of the healthcare companies, are focused on improving patient lives. So this has been an impactful journey, and I feel very privileged to part of this exciting journey in last 25 plus years. If I really look back and look at my experience, a lot has changed. A lot has changed in terms of how do we bring solutions to our customers. Let me be very specific with some of my examples. If I look back, earlier it was more about leadership decision making. In a group, we have to release some solutions, some product. I have seen it is more of a product centric decision making. At that point of time, the leader or the person who is responsible used to take a decision across the team members or the group. Over the years, I have seen a complete change. It is now more clinical driven, more patient driven, more data and more analytics. If I really look at some of the recent solutions which across globe uh, many healthcare organizations has delivered, whether you talk about robotics, whether you talk about AI solutions, they are all patient data driven, clinically data analysis, making sure our innovations hitting the right problem areas, right? There is no um, exit button that we do something and we recall it. Hey, it's not working, and let's stop it, because one single decision can impact thousands and thousands of patient lives. So the journey, if I really look at, has been from a leadership product centric decision making to now more data and analytics, clinical views, putting together a bit with all of AI into picture. So we have been across healthcare organizations much more patient centric and uh, that solutions which going to help millions and millions surgeons and customers. Thank you, Deepak.
So, taking the cue to what you said, that we have now become more of patient-centric organization, and the healthcare industry is or has moved into that particular direction. So, how has the data democratization happened within the pharma industry? So whether the data or the decision making ability and capability reside at the top, or it is democratized across the organization, across the business functions that you are seeing, and how those data points are being used by various stakeholders within the organization, whether decision maker or non-decision maker.
Yeah. So it's a fantastic question, right? If I really look at data democratization, it has gone through a massive change. And I give you some of the analysis which has been really going through. Pharma, I'm not a specialist. I don't call myself a pharma industry, but I'm definitely part of healthcare industry where we are more product centric, more solution centric organizations with all my previous experiences. So the data democratization, when I look back, uh, it has gone through massive change, massive change. Earlier, it was, as I said in my previous introduction, it was more driven on um, previous experience, previous knowledge, which probably was more based on what we learned in our past mistakes, right? But data coming in and with all the clear data, clean data, data which has a lot of maturity, which can be relied upon for taking better decisions, faster decisions. Those has taken place in the boardrooms, in the meetings, in the decision making process. One area where I have seen very big improvement is data to decision, that the breakdown, the way breakdown happens. So let me give you a very specific example in that. In a customer service environment, uh, what we have seen in the past, it was more of a reactive organization across healthcare industry. I'm talking about my journey 25 years back, and it was more about
Mhm.
break fix mindset. And but what we quickly realized that is not working. That is not working, and that is not what customers actually expect from us. If I really look today, that has completely changed from a predictive analytics. So the data which was available to us in terms of customer breakdowns and uptimes and downtimes, and we have been saying, hey, the system is down, let's make it up as soon as possible. From that reactive break fix mentality to a predictive customer service mindset, right? This has gone through a lot of analysis, lot of data point. See, what customers really want is zero breakdown, because these equipments are life saving, these equipments are completely occupied with day-to-day challenges.
Mhm.
So if they go for a massive breakdown, unplanned breakdown will result in patients waiting in the corridors. So the data, looking at what customers want, the customers want failure prevention, not failure fix or break fix. So organizations across the globe are currently working to become a predictive service organizations, which means from a break fix to fix
Mhm.
it before it breaks, right? So, and from where you do that, we pull tons and tons of system data, analyze those information, and figure out the system has certain challenges and it's going to fail sooner or later with some consistent parameter. And the remote monitoring helps us to take a decision when we replace or fix it something before it breaks. That has completely transformed, Deepak, the way healthcare services has been evolving in last many years. So that's a transformational change I have seen from a healthcare customer point of view.
Great. So, what I understand is the organizations are slowly and steadily moving from a post facto analysis to more of a predictive analytics,
Correct.
identifying the potential breakage, root cause, or any issues before it happen, and then take the remedial action. But
Correct.
having worked and talked with a lot of decision makers, what I can understand that this predictive analytics has its own bottleneck, be it
Yes.
the quality of the data, be it what sort of analysis we are doing, the subject matter expert we are having in house, right? So what are some of the challenges you see, or you would have experienced, right? uh, Building those predictive analytics models so that proactive measures can be taken for customer experience. So any thoughts on that particular part?
Yes. The biggest challenge, when I speak about futuristic or predictive or AI, it all starts with data. And data has its own set of challenges. The biggest challenge is clarity.
Yeah.
Um, not volume. I think volume was never a problem. Clean data, clear data. So clarity has been one of the biggest challenges we have seen while and going through the requirement of better data. Confidence, the confidence that this data has mature data, this data I can trust, this data I can analyze and take decisions. Okay, not precision, it's more about confidence. And third, kind of trade of visibility, not the matrices. Trade off means how I can take a learned decision to justify my leadership, justify the investment, because there always will be asymmetric situation, Deepak. You
Yeah.
won't have everything on your table to take a decision. There will be always some kind of ambiguity which will be involved with that. But if I have to take a decision based on data, clarity, confidence, and trade-off visibility. Those are the three areas which we actually need or as a leader to take decisions. And the clarity will really help me to understand which options to take, which options not to take. What happens if you are going wrong? What decisions I can justify to my senior leadership? So this is what has been changed over the years, and this is what currently we are focusing to take decisions.
Okay, so talking about the clarity and the confidence, one question that comes to my mind is, let's say today you are having, some reporting that needs to be done to the top management, right? And
Yeah.
you have certain data with you. You create certain reports, you create certain insights, right? Certain KPIs you identify, you prepare that report, but the moment you are about to deliver those analysis and insights and reports to the senior people, you get to see that there is certain level of discrepancy, be it
Yes.
completeness or correctness of the information provided. Now you have a challenge to deliver those reports, okay, and not very quickly
Yes.
and in timely manner,
Yes.
but you have less confidence on those numbers as well. So in this kind of a scenario where you are struggling with timely delivery versus the quality,
Accuracy.
okay, accuracy. So how, as a decision maker or key pivotal stakeholder within the organization, you tackle these sort of scenarios?
Thank you. And this is a very critical question for any organization. Very critical. Because delay itself is a cost. Whether you are launching a new product, whether you are launching a new solution, or even something which customer needs today, the more you delay, it's a cost to organization, and especially in a healthcare environment, that delay is very, very costly. But there has to be some balance with decision speed and accuracy, right? If I look back, there are again two or three areas I would like to emphasize. Always differentiate between reversible versus irreversible decisions, right? You know, you can always correct your haircut, which is absolutely a reversible decision. If you have a bad haircut, you can always correct it. But then if you really do something very bad in terms of decision which will irreversible, so it's for organization, it's a massive impact, right? So always differentiate when you are going decision speed versus accuracy. Differentiate between what is reversible, what is irreversible decision. Second, minimum data thresholds, right? Not perfection standards, but minimum data. Perfection is always a challenge. As I told, there will be always asymmetric. There is no perfection. So, but have a minimum data threshold, which is important for taking a decision. And third, directional confidence. Is this 70% right? Is this 80% right? Right? So if I take three or two or three things, reversible versus irreversible decision, minimum data thresholds, and third is directional confidence, making sure you are pretty confident, not 100%, but up to 80% is accurate. So these are the three parameters, Deepak, I normally focus, which gives me the clarity, decision versus accuracy. Because as you said, I have to go to leadership for a
Yeah.
decision, And leadership will always ask these questions. How are you confident? Do you have the right data, right analytics? And is it a reversible or irreversible decision? So, yeah, I mean, those are the three areas I normally focus when I go to leadership for a decision making.
Great. So you talked about directional understanding, right? But don't you think some way or the other, this directional thinking or your historical understanding around any topic leads to certain set of biasness, which may not always be 100% correct when you take those decisions. So how they you trade off between these biasness, okay, and the discrepancies or the incompleteness of the data that you are having at hand. It might occur that let's say 80, your data is 80% complete and correct, right? But and based on that and based on your historical understanding, you have taken that decision, but somehow that 20% could come up to be a key trigger of changing your decision had you known, right? So how confident or how as a decision maker you not let your previous bias, understanding or experience get into the current set of decision making role that you are taking.
Correct. Even we are a data centric or analytic centric world today, Deepak, there is always a human side of decision making. And then that there comes the bias filters. There comes the biasness. I might strongly feel this solution will work, but based on all my experience, based on my past understanding, knowledge, but there is certain biasness always there. So how do I overcome that? How do I ensure the human side of decision making is replaced by data, analytics, and right decision making? See, analytics for me, Deepak, is a counterweight to bias, not a
Okay.
cure, but analytics is a counterweight to bias,
Hmm.
which means it takes care of the human side of decision making. That, hey, although I believe based on my past experience this solution will work, but my analytics says, and for analytics we need mature data, clean data. I spoke about clarity. If that is there, it's absolutely a biasing factor for decision making, right? So using data to challenge instincts, not replace them. Instincts are good, but always challenge with right kind of data. And then actively seeking disconfirming evidence. Always look for that, right? And encouraging dissent before commitment. Alignment happens after that, but encourage dissent. Let people come and and share their insights about this particular decision at leadership level, and before we commit, right? We can have always alignment after that, but encourage the dissent. So the way I look at the decision making or the human side of decision making, overcoming bias, I use a lot of analytics to counterweight the bias. It's not a cure, as I said, but it definitely helps.
And that's where I believe the data democratization also helps. That
Yes.
if I have certain set of biasness towards any decision that I take, I always have different set of people who are looking the same set of data with different angle, different perspective, okay, and
Correct.
they can catch hold of me before I make any irreversible
Decision.
decision. Yeah. uh, Moving on to the next segment, which I believe is the pain point across industry, not only in healthcare but other industry that we talk about, that we discuss about. That within an organization, if you see, for each and every business functions, you have tons and tons of reports, tons and tons of dashboards created. You have KPIs, you have insights, okay. Your Excel, your Power BI, your Tableau, everything is
True.
loaded with big numbers, colorful charts. But when it comes to uh, decision making, those reports, those charts very seldom help you take that decisions, right? So what has been your experience, whether there has been dashboard fatigue, whether there has been insight fatigue, right? Because from a decision maker perspective, I'm sure you would not be looking, more than 15 or 20 critical KPIs for your
Correct.
business function, right? So in those scenarios, what has been your experience, and how do you basically tell your team members to, cut short on those populated dashboards and focus on the main key matrices for the business functions? Your thoughts on that same?
Beautiful question. And this has been one of my learning experience in last 25 years, Deepak. And across organizations I have seen in the past, the organizations are obsessed over revenue, margin, NPS. NPS is customer experience metrics. It's a short form of net promote score, but it's how your customer feels about your product and services. So organizations I have seen in the past are consistently focused on revenue, margin, and NPS, but traditionally ignored how long it takes to decide. And that is so critical, so critical. I have seen organizations for the sake of innovation kept, and I said just few minutes back, a delay is a cost to organization.
Yeah.
But some organizations has gone so deep into innovation that they fail to match market pace. So when they brought the solution, the market has moved on to something better and disruption has already happened. So their innovation timeline, their analytics, data, everything has been so slow, and they could not deliver on time, and competition has moved on. Disruption has happened, technology has moved. So what organization typically ignored has been the decision making timeline. I'll give you some examples once I finish the theory part of it.
Mhm.
How many approvals stall the action? I mean, organizations have layers and layers of action, decision making process. Does it really help? Yeah, I mean, those are there for a good purpose, for making sure the process are made, there is no leakage, everybody's feedback and concern has been taken care. But is it helping you to move faster, or it is stalling the action, the speed, right? And how often we linger around issues without the ownership. I mean, things fall in the gap, there is no clear ownership. Uh, so the slow decision making completely erodes your competitive advantage in the market. But you spoke about 15, 20, beautiful dashboards. I have seen all that, and yeah, it's there. But what I have seen the change, Deepak, people have moved from lagging indicators to leading indicators. Now, let me give you some examples of that. Let's say I'm driving a global service business. There is a lagging indicator that my sales is X million dollars, right? Is that a KPI? Yes, sure. The measurable is how much sales I have generated.
Mhm.
But if I look at a leading indicator, how is my contract penetration moving up? How is my portfolio pricing is moving up? How am I creating value for my customers? How am I making sure the customer, the money they are paying, they're actually getting more out of the money they are paying to organizations. If my dashboard is based on those data, and analytics based KPIs, leading indicators, not the lagging indicator, because your sales, your NP, I just said, right, revenue, margin, NPS, organizations have those kind of very fancy dashboards, which are lagging by nature.
Mhm.
But if you have good data and good analytics in place, then you don't measure revenue margin, you measure your contract penetration. Do you have a right portfolio for customers? Every customer has a different need. A customer in metro city compared to a tier 3 city has a different expectations, customer experience, customer service expectations. So do you have right portfolio, right pricing? Are you creating right value? Are you able to move faster with your decision? So yes, it has consistently changed, and today I see organizations are more focused on the right set of metrics based on what drives your lagging indicators. And that's a fantastic change I have observed in last couple of years.
Yeah, because most of these reports and dashboards that we also see, right, day in and day out, they are more of a meeting starter rather than
Yes.
catalyst of to take decision by the top management or the key decision people within
Yes.
the organization. So you see a dashboard, the conversation starts, but that's the usage that we have seen these dashboards have been put onto. So they need to evolve into more of a RCA, more of a
Correct.
trend, more of a predictive analytics aspect that right now talked about. So these changes needs to be there, and that is where we say that we have recently published one of the articles saying that if dashboards were able to help the decision makers, why are they debating within the meetings, right?
Correct.
And that's my next question. Have you experienced going into a meeting, right, uh, and some of your team members populate certain data, then the other team members saying, no, 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 this data looks incorrect, right? It should be X. The other says it should be X plus 1. The other said X minus 1. And the first 15-20 minutes of the meeting gets discussed whether this data, whether this KPIs that you are seeing on the screen is correct or not, right?
Correct.
So by the time the enthusiasm to take those strategic decisions and understanding the potential root cause, everything goes down, right? So
Correct.
have you experienced these scenarios? And uh, if you have experienced this scenario, how would you uh, maneuver those meetings, taking into account the limited or the incorrect or the incomplete set of information that you are having on those dashboards?
Great question. It always happens, and I have seen it in the past. I have still see some of them happens. All the organizations has evolved over the 25 years, but there is still a residual impact. There is always this debate about technology versus thinking, right? Because some of those KPIs, some of those dashboards are based on not based on thinking. They are based on how organization has moved, and and that has created actually confusion. Better in lack of a solid data driven leading indicator based dashboard, it just creates more confusion or more delayed decision making. So as a leader, I have certain prioritization. I follow that couple of areas I focus, making sure this does not happen. Have a very clear decision taking matrix, right? So what is your tier one daily management? What is your tier two and what is tier three daily management? Normally, if I look at across other organizations or
Mhm.
many other organizations, there is always a one dashboard. And that is where, as you said, first 15 minutes, 20 minutes, people start only talking about this is right, that is not right. But if you have a tiered approach to entire thing, and the tiered approach, Deepak, as I said, combines with leading and lagging indicator. Let me
Okay.
give an example, and I'll follow the same example so that everybody gets this very clear. I have to hit certain sales number. As I said, just said, organizations in the past are focused on revenue, margin, and customer experience. But what they really fail to understand that what are those important indicators driving these numbers, right?
Mhm.
So if I always look at a three-tier approach, what is my tier one dashboard? Tier one is all, Deepak, are lagging indicator dashboards. For example, I have to do X million sales, I have to do Y million profit, I have to have X percentage NPS, you know, very, very focused. This is not the dashboard I normally follow. This is a dashboard for annual report out to leadership because they are more looking at the annual impact. But if I go to tier two dashboard, the same dashboard having a tier two, This is where, Deepak, I bring the differentiation, and this is based on, again, previous business information, previous business results, last year performance, last 5 years performance, analyzing the data, and this is my tier two leading indicator dashboard. The
Mhm.
leading indicator, just to give an example, how do I grow my leading indicators like contact penetration, pricing, portfolio, value creation, upgrades, life cycle values? If those leading indicators are placed and they are moving in the right direction, the tier one dashboard will take care of itself.
Yeah, yeah,
It's just an
absolutely.
outcome, right? Then comes the tier three. Tier three is more about execution, right? Having an idea or having a leading indicator or having is not just enough. Content penetration, and I drive global customer service, I cannot have a one policy or one decision for every single country. So I have to create a differentiated portfolio for market specific, market sense, country specific uh, requirements, customer expectations. What works for me in China, the portfolio or the pricing or the value creation, does not work in Australia, or the Australia portfolio pricing does not work in North America, right? So this is where I create the tier three based on the analysis I have, making sure that tier three is all about execution in the right directions. And this is where many organizations fail, because they have tier one and many times tier two, the leading indicators, but they fail to focus how they are going to execute these leading indicators. And this is something I will strongly recommend people watching have a solid execution in place. If I recently seen, actually execution is the new strategy. Execution is no more a go to market, deliver on your promises. It's not no more about that. Actually,
Mhm.
the strength of many organizations are based on execution skills, and that's a new strategy. Many organizations have fantastic strategy, great portfolio, fantastic brand recall, but many fail on the execution part. So this is how I would differentiate, having three-tier approach based on your past learning, customer feedback, customer insights, your team in the market, in the country, how they know about their customers. Take all your information, analyze, and then create these dashboards. No fancy stuff, clear decision matrix, explicit decision criterias, agreed escalation rules. If something is not working, how they escalate, and define good enough standards. Those are the areas, amplifies the judgment, and yeah, I mean, that helps us to really deliver great results.
Absolutely. I think this tiered approach basically focuses more on layering your various reporting segments
Yes,
for the key stakeholders. You have the CXO level reports, you have the mid managers report, and then
correct,
you have the core execution or the operation people looking at those numbers, right? And I feel most of these organizations, they are basically loading anything and everything in one single dashboard, right? Trying to connect the dots, right? So this is a very fancy word that we keep on hearing, connect the dots. And that is predominantly why they want to put everything related to a specific function or a specific process, let's say for customer experience, onto one dashboard, so that if they filter around and play around on one KPI, what are other KPIs behaving in correlation to the ones they have selected, right? And now
correct.
this is creating the connect the dots concept is creating more of a problem. The bottom line, as you said, should be clear, crisp, layered, and tiered approach
Yes,
to decision making. Uh, Taking cue from what you said, that this has to be layered and tiered one. Uh, I'm sure you would have experienced a scenario wherein you would have used a specific word called "I need better data," right?
yes,
Uh,
yes.
to understand this problem or to take a decision, I need better data. So, what does this term corroborates to? What does the better data, as per your definition, refers to? Whether it's volume of the data, or more information or insight out of it. Okay, so how, what does it refer to?
For that, Deepak, I will little bit go one step back, and this is where our conversation also started, right? If you really look the old world way, and and with my lens of 25, 28 years back, it was always the person who is the highest in the organization or highest paid person in my opinion not used to take the decisions, right? And that has created a massive gap, right? What the business, what the expectations versus the business view, right? And this has created a gap, right? From the business value realization versus data driven insights. Okay, and that did not help many organizations to achieve the goals they wanted to achieve. So the decision centricity, or how the decision can be taken with the value realization, the business value realization, the discipline to achieve decision centricity is backed by data, right? That has changed over the years. And if I look back and look at the some of the areas where the business decision making has changed, organizations has moved into more connected, which means multi-stakeholder involvement and kind of decision interdependencies. So they are more connected. So they are not more taking decisions which is good for one function is not good for another function. So they involve multi stakeholders and they're interdependent on decision making. So they are taking more connected. It helps business decision making more continuous, faster, and scalable decisions, which means response in real time events and disruptions. Response in real time, because disruptions happening all the time, right?
Yeah.
So more continuous business decision making. And third, more contextual, in a sense, broader process awareness, personalized and customized decisions, compliance, fairness, and transparency, right? So decisions which coming from more contextual, more connected, and more continuous. If I put it together, data and analytics must enhance business decision making. This is where I see it has completely changed. And a lot of this credit goes to how organizations has looked into data.
Mm.
Earlier, the data maturity was very less. As I said in the start, clarity and cleanness of those data was not good enough. Over the years, I have seen organizations focusing a lot on data maturity. Uh, there are four or five elements or actions leaders are aiming to shape for decision making.
Mm.
Let me go one by one. First is foremost is consider the degree of augmentation required for advanced analytics and AI. Very important. Uh, and it starts with identify what processes to engineer and why. I think the why is very critical, Deepak. Here. Everything starts with why,
Yeah.
as Simon Sinek says. Uh, Identify what process engineer, process to engineer and why. It starts with that. And that helps a lot of questions answered itself. If you know where to focus, which process to engineer, and why that has to be done, then you look into prioritize that processes using analytics and data. So
Great.
starts with why, it moves to prioritization, that particular process using analytics and data. Then I just said the degree of argumentation required from advanced analytics to AI. Then it moves to the next stage, understand the importance of data fabric. very important. The role of data fabric is very, very important, because this is the framework or benchmark on which you take your decisions. And the leader takes the decisions to identify the new skills or new habits, new competencies needed to deliver fantastic results, is based on how do you successfully identify the why, the prioritization of processes, the augmentation required. Fourth, the data fabric. If you put it together, it will help you to find out the right decision making for your organization. So they are closely knit together. You cannot miss one. You
Mm.
cannot miss, of course, why. Without
Yeah,
why, you don't have a you should not start any discussion as a leader without knowing the why. What particular area to focus, right? And then all the other prioritization, augmentation, data fabric flows with that, and that helps you to bring um, skills, habits, everything. But it's like a new culture. The culture is driven by not human bias. We spoke about a few minutes back. It's not based on human bias. It's based on solid information, solid analytics, and that will shape the decision making. Not the person who is the highest in the ladder, or
yeah.
not the person who says I know everything and take my advice. Not dependent on that. Clearly based on how do we manage why, and then prioritize, then augment, and use the data fabric.
Great. I love the word that you said, that the decisions taken today needs to be connected,
Yes.
uh, continuous, because the world is evolving on a very real time basis,
Yes.
right? So you are taking, if you are taking decision based on weeks back or even a days back data, you are gone, and it has to be more contextual in nature. How you are comparing your decision or your data with respect to any context, right? That becomes very important. Now, discussing on the connected part of it, right? uh, the various business functions within an organization, they work independent, in a very independent way, right? Let's say in your organization, if you would have a customer experience team, then you would have engineering team, right? Then you would have some team who basically records those complaints, right? Now, for all these three or four business functions or sub functions within your process, there would be certain amount of data getting generated and consumed, right? How do you bring these three different set of people, okay, to work together with a connected data approach, okay, so that you have a clear cut customer persona defined, right? For you to take decision, right? Because this connected word that you talked about is creating a lot of problem. uh,
Yeah.
the organizations are saying that we are data driven, okay,
Yes.
but when we go and do a deep dive, we do the data maturity assessment within the organization, we find, okay, you have the same KPI, you have the same set of KRAs and insights defined within the organization, but for each and every business functions, it's saying different numbers, right?
Right.
This siloed approach creates a big bottleneck. So, how are you experiencing this, and what are some of the ways that this siloed nature of the decision making, backed by data, can be cured?
Very good. So the most important factor which organizations are actually measured is by measure through growth. How the organization is growing, um, and is it driven by efficiency? Because growth can happen from various tangents, Deepak. But if it's not driven by efficiency or productivity, some organizations call it, um, it is not the real data driven organization for me. Are you reducing your waste? Are you stopping those leakages? Are you
Mhm.
bringing the right kind of operational excellence to drive your business growth? Are you bringing the right digital innovation into your organizations to drive these initiatives? So what is your goal? What is your goal? The goal starts again with right data quality. The more you focus to enhance the data quality and management practices,
Mm-hmm.
it will ensure you are taking right information, right decision, and helping you to win in the market, right? Second, when you write data, how do you convert those data to create operational excellence? Um, and it has to be enterprise wide, right? Enterprise wide processes, enterprise wide operations. So replace manual data matching processes, and as you said, connecting dots is the old way of working, and use analytics to detect anomalies. There is always an opportunity to deploy an automated workload management tool, right? So what does it help and how it gets measured? It's normally measured by delivery speed. As I said, speed or delay cost business a lot, right? So your operational excellence is really dependent on how fast you deliver the operational excellence, the speed that has to be measured. Employee productivity, it definitely helps to improve employee productivity. That has to be measured. You cannot have all the resources as a leader you don't have always the right budget, right number of people. It's always a constraint. No organization has infinite money or infinite people, infinite but to run the business. So how do you ensure employee productivity for better operational excellence? Has to come from data, but that has to be measured. Then third, important for operational excellence is risk reduction or mitigation plans, right? All businesses have risks, right? But if you know where is my risk coming and do have a mitigation or reduction plan, that should
Mm-hmm.
be measured, and that will help your operational excellence. So three matrices which is really important here: your speed, delivery speed, and your employee productivity, and third is risk reduction. From data quality to operational excellence, let's move into the business growth. Ultimately, that is what we all aspire for, right? Increase in revenue, reduction in cost. As I said, this is how organizations are normally measured, right? So for this, the work you have done with your data, with your operational excellence, identifies high value customers, trends, cross selling opportunities. Many organizations miss that beautiful link between creating value for customers, for existing customers. I have seen organizations sold something or delivered something and moved on to another customer. The existing customer is always have a lot of upsell, cross selling opportunities based on the trends. As you said in the just you said, technology changes continuously, right? And today, if a customer has a brought certain product 3 years back, and the technology has changed, and technology moved to a latest and greatest platform, is your organization creating that values which the system can be upgraded to the latest platform? Many don't think that way. For them, once the product is sold, let customer manage the product. That is not the ideal way of business growth. The business growth is run that extra mile with customer, making sure they increase their own revenue, own patient impact, and that brings you additional business to organization. So the business growth happens in an environment where you identify high value customers, understand the trends, and at the same time identify cross selling opportunities. And the fourth point is the digital innovation. Now this is super critical, super critical. um, as I said, when I was talking about the real world changes I have seen my journey from a break fix mindset 25 years back to today, fix it before it breaks,
Yeah.
right? So, how do you bring digital innovation into that picture? How do you ensure your customers enjoy the product innovation or the data monetization, right? So, for that, you need to use a lot of analytics processing, data driven decisions, uh, predictive modeling, okay, and detect problems, as I said, and improve product features. And how do you measure that? New product and services, which will bring you revenue and it improve your speed of innovation. So, if you summarize, Deepak, there are four pillars which I consider if it brings efficiency and growth to organizations, driven by data and analytics, of course. The four pillars is very important to understand for all of us: quality of data, then operational excellence, business growth, driven by digital innovation. If you put this four together, your organization's efficiency and growth will be in the right direction, not based on human centric behavior,
Yeah.
not based on biasness, but based on data and analytics.
Yes, and I believe that the tiered approach that you said
Yes,
around the dashboard building, the KPIs and the matrix for those tiered layer should also come from these four pillars, right?
yes,
And
yes.
that is where the top level people would see the information that they need to see, followed by the middle layer and the execution layer. So I think based on this four pillared and the three tiered approach that you mentioned, right? The siloed experience between the organizations or between the different functions within the same process, right? Gets cured. Now, we are heading towards the last few minutes of the session, and I want to touch base on one of the most important topic which we all are experiencing, the topic named as AI or artificial intelligence,
Yeah,
right? Now, uh, many organizations are moving towards AI generated insights or AI backed decision making, um, in a FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. That look,
yeah.
some other person is doing, so I also need to do, right? So, what is your experience? What is your understanding as to how we can leverage this AI backed insights or AI generated reports, informations, right? Uh, Whether we should use it, not use it, or have a balanced approach between the traditional reporting system versus the AI generated insights. We'd love to hear your thoughts and
Yeah,
understand what you think.
AI is definitely here to play a big role. There is no second thought, and it is taking shape in the right direction. Organizations which had a previous, uh, I mean, on a time frame, let's say 5 years back, what they all thought AI will do, it's completely changing almost every single day. What AI can do for them as an organization and for their customers or their dependencies on the outcome. So AI is definitely here to play a big role and going to change the way the solutions are delivered to customers. So three areas which I believe and that there's a questions every organizations need to think before getting into AI and making sure they have the answers before they deploy it. Um, First question which comes to my mind is a strategic. Is the scope of this AI initiative is strategic, or is it operational or governance? Right. So this is a first question every organization should answer. The AI is strategic, operational, or it's just a governance improvement model. Second, what are the key stages on activities of data analytics and AI initiative, right? You can't take something and put AI and magic happens. It has your own stages, own activities, right? And again, I'm keep saying it start with good, clear, mature data, solid analytics. If you miss these two, your AI initiative will go in a very different direction, right? We in our school days or college days we heard the famous word garbage in, garbage out, right? So unless your decisions or AI initiatives backed up by data and analytics, it can go in a very different tangent and you will completely miss the bus, right? And most important, which teams and yeah, I mean leaders and but most importantly, leaders and teams are need to be involved. You don't need everybody in the organization jumping into that. Absolutely not. Uh,
Yeah.
you just need the right kind of people getting involved and right kind of teams getting involved, and not necessarily everybody in the organization talking and driving this, right? So there are three elements which I feel will help you to become a better AI centric organization. First, identify it's a strategic decision or just a operational or governance. Figure out that answer first. What are the layers? What are the stages before you become AI? You start AI initiative, and I already said it has to be based on data and analytics. Third is how to involve the right kind of team mix. So the if I look at the roadmap, the sequence of objectives, desired solutions, and useful alignment. Useful alignment is the key because that's the human part.
Yeah.
It will help you to become a better AI centric organization rather than jumping just and figuring out how to swim once you jump there, right? So, how do you achieve this? First of all, create a data and analytics vision for your organization, or you can call it data and analytics vision strategy for your organization, right? That starts with that, right? And establish operating framework. And I spoke about operational excellence in my previous answer. So clearly establish operating framework, cultivate the culture and governance, because without that nobody will and not everybody will be understand the direction with the organization going on. So it's called buy-in or having equal mindset. So cultivate the culture and establish the governance. And then the DNA part, data and analytics part, value management, absolutely critical, making sure you have the right value delivered after managing all the exercise. And continuous learning,
Yeah.
refine and progress, make corrections, bring improvements and keep progressing. Everything changing at light speed. I mean, things are changing every single hour, every single day, right? So refine your strategy, if refine your long-term goal and keep progressing. Don't stop saying that this decision was taken 2 years back. Let's continue the roadmap we have created. Things has changed, competition has changed, technology has changed. So refine and progress is the final area where I would request everybody to focus.
Great. I will quickly summarize what you have rightly said, right? And I believe we also, as an organization, reverberate to your thoughts, wherein most of the organizations say that we are truly a data-driven company, right? Now, to become a data-driven company does not mean you have one or two dashboards created or
No.
10,000 dashboards created being used across the business, right? It has to have a defined vision, right?
Yes.
If I'm going to use a certain set of dashboards or reports or insight, it should bring me or help me in this particular decision. Then there has to be an operating framework around it,
Yes.
right? Post that, you need to have clear cut execution, which brings into your concept of data clarity,
The
you know
governance model.
a governance model, right? And last but not the least is basically refining this entire thing as you
Correct.
go, right?
Correct.
Because what we have seen that, once a dashboard or a report is created or analysis is done, it keeps staying in a particular workspace, right? An analysis was done 6 months back, might not be relevant today, right? in
Absolutely.
this in this ever changing world. So this has been the scenario. And for a truly data driven organization, I feel, and as you correctly said, that these four aspect needs to be captured, imbibed within the culture, and then only you have a truly data driven organization, not
We
on the
agree.
book but in operation. uh,
Absolutely.
I have one last question, but before that,
Please.
I'll take some questions coming on from the audience.
Sure.
Um, One question which basically excites me, and I hope it will excite you as well, which says, uh, for a young person, moving into a decision maker role,
Yeah.
okay, what would be your advice to him or her to become more data driven leaders of tomorrow?
Wow, nice. It's a kind of aspirational question, but I have certain advice. Yeah, mid career, your entry career or higher career, there is one mindset change in the has to happen from being right to being responsible. That's a key mindset shift I would advise to the mid career professionals. Be responsible, take ownership, take accountability, and accepting imperfect information. As I said just few minutes back, and there is always asymmetric data. There is
Yeah.
always ambiguity, but accept that this is what it is. You don't have all the solutions on the table, and making trade-offs explicit. Absolutely clear that there will be trade-off. There is nothing called a perfect solution, right? So don't be try to being right, but take the ownership. Third is always behind the outcomes, standing behind the outcomes. Take the ownership. Again, I'm keep saying that thing. And communications decisions early, even with uncertainty, right? Even with uncertainty. The VUCA world or everything we talk about is all about uncertainty. But communicating your decisions early, it could be a good message or bad message, communicate fast. Leadership is less about insight generation, is more about decision ownership. This is something don't you don't get taught in the college with your engineering degree or everything, but it's all about at corporate level. It's all about decision ownership. So one mindset change I would request everyone and mid-career professionals from being right to be a responsible leader, ownership driven leader. That one mindset should change.
And what about for people who are at your age, more than 30 years of experience? What would be your advice to those sort of individuals?
Accept technology, accept data as the center of your decision making. Your experience has a certain outcome in the past based on past experience, based on past understanding. That will not enough, that will not work in current scenario and future scenario. So even you are highly experienced, you know everything inside out what in your current domain, except data is the center point of decision making. And I keep saying, when I say data, please make sure clear data, mature data, have the right analytics before taking decisions of the person. Any senior leadership, the decision making should be based on good quality data and right analytics, overcoming the human biasness, which is very important in senior leadership. That is my mantra to all senior leadership.
Great. Last question before we wrap up the session. Um, how do you see the decision making role evolve in the next 3 to 5 years? With this ever changing technology in AI space, data space, analytics space, a lot of companies are coming into picture in terms of data capturing at
Yeah,
a very granular level. It's not at 5,000 or 50,000 feet level. They are capturing data at a very granular level, execution level. So how the decision making would change or evolve, whether good, bad, ugly, fast, in the next 3 to 5 years based on your experience?
very good question. I wish I have a crystal ball and I could see everything how it's going to change. But I definitely had certain thoughts around that. Um, I have seen impact, the way impact has been happened in the past, and I have seen how impact is happening right now. Um, Impacts has happened in the past based on human centric, product centric, leadership centric behavior, leadership centric decision making. It has completely moving to analytics based impact, insight based, um, inside outside in perspective. Outside in perspective is what your customers, what your end users, people who are going to use your product and solutions, If you understand them, visualize that change, market change, or the dynamics change, if you have those information, I think that should be the center point of a future decision making, right? Continuously bring efficiency into the organizations. And this is where, again, your customer insights, your uh, previous year's experience insights, if you put it together, bring efficiency your organization to drive growth, drive profitability, drive customer experience. I have seen lot of opportunity on efficiency, running excellent operations in the leadership arena. So that's one area I probably feel will change the way future success will be met. And one critical element when I talk about outside in perspective, I'm talking about efficiency, strategic leadership. Your leadership should be based on a long-term strategy which has a center point, or which is based on first two elements. Do you have outside in perspective whatever you are doing today, and do you have the right efficiency in the organizations? If you put it together, your strategy should be very clear, uh, based on all the analytics, all the time frame, all the leading indicators. Are we moving in the right direction? So my three focus areas will be: one, how do I bring a outside in perspective? How do I bring efficiency in my organization based on that outside in perspective, and have a strategy based on these two elements?
Great. Thanks a lot. We have exceeded almost 8 to 10 minutes of the scheduled time.
No
I
problem.
believe we, you could have, and thanks for managing those extra 10 minutes, Mr. Tripathi. Thanks for a lovely session. Some of the key pointers I'll imbibe within my learning and understanding as well. Right, the three-tiered approach as well as the four functional pillar that you discussed about, and being more of a connected decision making process,
Correct.
and to become a true data driven organization. Again, thanks a lot for sharing your 30 plus years experience with us, and we'll connect surely on the same topic going forward.
Absolutely, Deepak. Looking forward, and I hope it made sense to you and your team members and people are watching online. And happy to come back and share more perspectives around this. So thank you, Deepak, for the opportunity.
Thanks a lot, Mr.
Thank
Tripathi.
you. Bye for now, guys.
Bye.